Good evening. I'm Father Russ Carmichael, and this is Street Talk. I want to thank you all for letting me in your home again. I'm sorry I've been off a couple of weeks. We ran some past history shows and stuff like that. Had a lot of medical problems around and with people that we know. I want to say hello. I'm hoping that my wonderful friend is watching me at L&M Hospital. Darren, Father's right here, and praying for you and hoping that you recover. You're a lot better than you were 12 days ago. You were knocking on the light, knocking on the door, and we love that you're coming back strong, and we want you home soon. Bobby's probably there with you, I hope, Bobby, you're doing a good job, and thank you. And we just had a lot of sicknesses, and across from me, Dominic Cotton is with me. My co-host is sitting here, and my compadre. Bruce Morris was supposed to be on tonight. Bruce is down with the flu. I mean, we've got, oh my God, we've just had about 6 weeks of a lot of people being sick. Yep. Your son, everything, family, your wife, sick, other people, all around us, man. It was, but God is good. I don't want anybody who thinks that prayer isn't answered. They haven't lived my life. That's for sure. Maybe you don't get the answers you want, but I've been really, I've been really blessed and super blessed with prayer, deep prayer and stuff like that. Believe it or not, people think, hey, Father's a crazy man and stuff like that. I am, but I'm also a serious, prayerful guy. I talk to God, and for me, God answers. The worst, obviously, I had an uncle that just passed away, my last of my older family generation on the RC side, my Uncle Wally, great man, just passed away up in Vermont. And I couldn't get to his funeral because I was dealing with emergencies down here and stuff like that. And sometimes it seemed, especially when you get up to my age,
you're coming around to the end of the other generation, and you're at the oldest parts of it.
Yeah, exactly right. And so you watch, but my life has been surrounded with death and loss and everything else like that, because it's just that's the way it's been, far more than most.
Sometimes I think God puts certain people in certain places, because you know what? Sometimes I feel like, I hate to say it, it's like I'm the angel of death. I'm there when other people need it along those lines, not meaning it in a bad way.
And not a bad way.
But to help people through difficult times like that, I think you become experienced at it at a certain level, and I think on other ends of it, it makes you reevaluate everything that goes on when it happens.
I think it obviously part of the cycle of life, that we face, and I guess given our business, we face more of it than most people see and stuff like that. I have faced more of it than a lot of people see, and the nature of not only what I do now, what I did in my past, stuff like that was violent and stuff like that. So I saw tremendous violence all my life and stuff like, But I also saw a lot of recovery, which is the great side of, when people say, oh, have you seen the face of Jesus being smart? I said, yeah, I see that all the time. I see that in the people I work with. I see that in friends, and, and others may not understand the spiritualness of that. And it's taken me a long time. I still work at that, but it's amazing. It's an amazing thing. We almost lost my friend, who's hopefully sitting there watching me. he was basically gone. I was joking with Darren that him and I were up in the light, and we've been fortunate enough to come back.
And he keeps saying that he was there, that you were there with him.
Yeah, he said I was there with him. Yeah, he said he was
You
there.
got, well, you do have that, like, you know, that fatherly God look.
Well, my daughter and his sister said that he was talking. He thought he was talking to Dad, and I said, I think that when I was talking to him, I said it may have been me because he was out of it, but I was talking to him like he was there and stuff like that. And then he had said to me, "Well, you were there with me," and I said, "Well, I was, but from And,
Well,
and of course, he's still got struggles. I know you're going to work hard, be good with those nurses, because I know he can be a tough guy.
Well, I know how much it brings up. I mean, it was just 2 years ago you guys went through Auntie Gail.
Oh, Auntie Gail, yeah, that was.
And when you when you re-experience this, it is, I talk about like post-traumatic stress, like it brings up those things.
Right.
And it gets you hits you square in the gut of remembering how you went through and how you felt about that.
Well, well, what happens? Okay, now Auntie Gail is obviously I wouldn't be in this business.
Right.
I mean, I'd still be a priest, but I wouldn't be in the medical care community, which I never told people much that I was. When I came here to New London, they thought I was all about homelessness and stuff like that. I kept the other side of what I did. It was nobody's business. Being in the medical care business and taking care of people can be a blessing, but it could also be, well, as you know, from a daily serious struggle. Auntie Gail, 35 years. I mean, we started with ADA and working with ADA. She taught me because of her needs and stuff like that, how to deal with the American Disabilities Act and stuff like that. And then, the lady struggled with so many complications, a tremendous learning experience. I knew nothing about alcoholism or any of that stuff like that. She struggled. She's bipolar. She struggled with, and then she had 2 major accidents that, poor lady aged from the second one almost overnight, and then cancer, the bouts with cancer. That was a long, it was a long bout. She probably dealt with cancer for over 15 years all told. So it was, but she was a great advocate. She was always there for other people. She's just unbelievable. Even as she weakened, as she went on in her journey and struggle. But it brings all that stuff brings up, and dealing with prisons. I mean, I deal with prisoners that change their lives. I mean, prisoners that they weren't hubcap thieves. They were violent men, gang men, organized crime guy that at a certain point in life struggled and changed, and then went through. Those are tough stuff.
Well, it's the experiences that change you. I mean, I know I've been through it. I ran before I did this, working with people with brain injury. I ran a residential treatment center, and I've been through experiences that people have died underneath my watch.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate. I had an older psychiatrist that I worked with. He was kind of like the Korean War like era. You take your meds and that's it.
Yeah, you do it. Yeah.
On the other end of it, he was probably one of the most compassionate people, and he told me, he was like, look, you're here at the end. He's like, some of these people have been on like these medications for 40 years. They've been through the struggle for over a long period of time.
Right.
Their organs are worn away from all this stuff. And he's like, you're not God. You make decisions.
Right.
But
right.
some of the dies have been cast a long time before, and even though you're trying to do everything you can to keep them, alive in that capacity, you're not.
Yeah, no.
You're not the man upstairs.
You're not the man upstairs, and you got to know when to let go, and you got to. But yeah, my reality with death always has been I was never, not that I can't even remember when I was afraid of dying or something like that. In fact, I welcomed dying from very young, and stuff like that. So there wasn't that kind of thing. And I believe in the circle of life, and it's just a fact that's going to happen. And I have, I don't know, maybe I've got a funny way of dealing with it. It's just something that's there that's going to happen, and you want your quality of life, and you want to get through the journey as best you can. But the reality is, we're all, from the time we're born, are on our way back home, and I look at it that way. On occasion, though, it does. You see things where you are, and you question the why, especially when younger people. For me, when it's younger,
Sure.
and stuff like that, or when it's tragic conditions and sickness and stuff like that, it's it's a daunting thing. It's life, and my other reality is how you live the life, wherever you are. I mean, that is key to me and to my stuff. I mean, you can have done bad. You can do all these lousy things like I did and everything else like that. But there's a point that you can change that if you've got to want to, though. It's a personal. I look at it a personal thing. In the prison stuff, we have people that do things, and all of a sudden, justice says, "Oh, well, you got to change. You got to change." Well, telling somebody they got to change doesn't change people. The person has to come to the table understanding that that's what they want to do, and that they got a hope and a future, and that they can do something.
Well, I mean, I think the other end of it, and you talk about our friend in the hospital who
Right.
I happen to have known for, I guess,
A lot of years, right?
15 years at least.
Right,
And,
right.
you know,
We're talking about you if you're out there.
It's okay.
Right?
It's well, I mean, it's
We're not mentioning your name, though. We'll keep it a secret.
it's well, I mean, it's the joy that that you brought in the change in their life. I mean, like I said, I've known of his situation. I've worked with him for a long period of time. I didn't see him for a long period of time. I was asked to be re-involved to help, bring him around to a situation where we thought he was going to be in a much happier place working with you.
Yeah.
But you know what? In my heart of hearts, even through the toughest parts that I'm watching you go through this, I know the other side, and I've seen him, I don't know, in his kind of darkest places, and to see where he is now, and even though you guys have struggles with each other, and he has his own difficulties and everything else, this is probably truly the happiest.
Oh, it's a great journey. He's got a great journey.
I've ever seen him be, but that's the part of hanging on and a reason to hang on.
To hang on.
And a reason to come back.
Oh yeah. My friends, he comes back in, right? I go and visit him the other day. God bless you. Let me talk about right. And he's there with those tubes, and he says to me, "Look what you did."
Nice.
I said, right, and then I said, that's a terrible thing to say to me. He said, he's terrific. I said, you coming home? He said, you coming home to give me trouble? He said, of course. He didn't say it. He said, yeah, he's coming home to give you, to be able to be and watch somebody's special journey is a blessed privilege. That's where I see Jesus, okay? It's not only that individual we're talking about. I'm going to talk about the other guy that's sitting there with him, I think, right now, if he has, Bobby. Okay, and Bobby struggles and everything else like that. You know, his journey through life. He took abuse for years. We've done shows on what's happened to him in New London over the years and how his life he changed his life. He wanted a different. He stayed here in a struggling situation, but then he made himself a happy life. What's good for me is to be able to see that and be part of it. Well, you do it.
Well, you know,
You do it daily.
I probably learn more from the people that I've worked with over the last like 10, 12 years. That I've had the great fortune of like working directly with the same 3 people for over 8, 9 years.
Yeah.
And you know, I've worked in healthcare for a long period of time, and I saw there was a great change that happened somewhere in about the mid-90s. It was about the time that Clinton came in, and
Right.
You know, we had like, you know, looking at the way that healthcare is structured,
The change of
and people normally people, you know, you would have them for like, you know, a couple of years working with people with serious mental health like conditions. And we went from structuring things to you were going to have them for you know, a year or two and deal with them over a long period of time to changes to managed care. And now all of a sudden you were on a timetable, and from the moment that you got the referral, you had 30 days, and you had that 30 days to like fix like everything, and it was, you know, always like, you know, on a driving scale.
Right.
And you were always, you know, figuring out how can we do this faster? How can we get people to this point like this much quicker? And you were on, you know, they would give you, okay, you have like 2 days more, and then you have to come back with these answers. It's like, how do you say that you're going to fix somebody's or help them find themselves in 2 days?
No, it's an impossibility. It's the same thing we talked about on the justice stuff. You're going to change again. You got a guy in there, you had him 8 years, you know, they called me up to develop a program. Here, Father, you've developed programs, you've done halfway houses, you've done alternatives to corrections, you know, and you got these guys 8, 10, 9 years. Now we're going to put them out, and we need a program. Are you a program for what? Where are they going, first of all? Do they have housing? Do they have their own apartment or a home with a key and a telephone so that they're secure? Or are you throwing them out into a shelter? How about a job? You got guys and women that haven't worked in 10 years, and you think they're going to do 9 to 5? Are you out of your mind? Who's going to get them up in the morning? Who's going to get them prepared and get them into a working situation? You're going to do that, what, in a month? 10 years of doing nothing to 1 month, and you're going to do you know how long it takes to redo habits? Most of us say 90 days, 30, 60, 90, maybe. I say, okay, oh, they're drug people. Oh, that's really great. How long they've been off the drugs, do you know? If they are, okay? If it's drugs, you're talking, from my perspective, you need a 4-year program. You need to have somebody mentor them that's been on dry and everything else like that. I mean, the people are insane to think you're going to change somebody. Well, we do know scientifically, if it took you 25 years, I was probably 30 when I decided to change, and I'm still working on it. Okay? We know that from the time you decide to change, whatever time it took you to get there is going to take you. So if it took you 30 years to get there, it's going to take you another 30 to change. Really change and stuff like that. People don't get it. and they got all kinds of studies, and I can do the academic stuff, and I can show all, you know, from the best we have. Nobody wants to listen to it.
Well, I think I was actually up at the Capitol a couple weeks ago, and there was a lady out there from California, and she's been doing a really sort of long-term study dealing with youth, and the thing that we keep talking about, which is brain development.
Brain development. Well, it all surrounds that.
And brain development, but they were also talking about not only that, but your interactions with the system.
Mm-hmm. And with others.
And so they had, they managed to find like a group of people, which, people that had been into custody, people that, teenagers that have had interactions with the system, but not necessarily gone into custody, and people that, did a lot of the same things, but never got caught at it.
Yeah.
You want to know how they found that last group of people? They talked to the other guys
The
from the other two groups,
groups.
and they said, "Who are your friends that do the same stuff but haven't got caught at it?" So that's how they got like all three groups together.
Okay.
And some of the things that they found, and this lady was truly terrific, and she was talking about, look, there's a certain age frame where people are going to, have the most difficulties, get into the most trouble, and it was in that 18 to 20 range.
Right.
And those that went into custody and had interactions with the system had the worst outcomes.
Yeah.
Those that had interactions but didn't go into custody, they did better than the ones that were in custody, and those that never got caught at it actually did the best.
They did the best.
Because they made it through that time frame and they came out the other side.
Right.
And they were okay.
Yeah, well, they didn't get the scars and the damage that happens once you're connected with the system. Okay, we know, we've known for years. I mean, we know. 5 years from the time people are released, 5 years, the return rate is 80%. If you take it out to the 5-year level, I had one of the best success rates when I was doing the stuff in the 70s. My program was a model for the country. We had a 3-year projection, and we had a 80% success rate, and that was extremely high for what was going on. But you're holding hands. The best, one of the best, if not outside of the Manager Clinic in the United States, probably the second best program for people and everything else is Delancey Street in San Francisco. John Maher and the guys and the lady that formed that and stuff like that. John was from here in New York, and he had been in Synanon. So as a drug program, that is probably the best. Okay, again, and again, I don't believe in cookie cutter stuff. I believe that you need time to correct whatever's going on, and that's one of the things studies show us. But there is a big difference between somebody who is hooked and have the condition of drugs and stuff like that, the way that influences you, versus an economic criminal like I was and others. Problem's still the same, though. Their problem is maybe with drugs and stuff like that. Mine was getting money and things like that. The other problems that bring you to that are much similar. So, to do things with people and to change people's lives, you're dealing with the brain. I mean, that's what it all comes down to.
You really are.
That's what we deal with brain injured people. Okay, I deal with developmentally disabled. We deal with people with mental health that have a range of of difficulties and stuff like that. And they're on a ladder, and they're at different places, but a lot of things, you know, that you're dealing with are all connected with and how you deal with them is how you deal with them. You got to deal with them with respect. The big change that you didn't say is client-centered. Client-centered. It's medical across the board. It's not only mental health. That is the wave and the change that has happened, and people and doctors and nurses still don't get it.
It's because they're stuck into that mindset that we have to tell people
what to do,
what to do it, how to do it. Yes,
We
we
know,
know, and
we
we're
know,
going to
we
tell
know.
you,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're going to follow it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But if
I'm
you-
an authoritarian. Do you think I can tell my guys what to do?
But if you don't tie into people's motivations
Oh, that's the key, right?
and
what
what
makes
they
it work?
want and where they're trying to go,
Right.
I mean, like I have a person that I work with right now. He's not going to go to work.
Yeah.
He doesn't. It's not. He'd like to, think about it, but it's not something that he's really in a place where this is what he wants to go do.
Yeah. Or does he think he is capable?
Well, I mean, there's two ends of the
Right,
spectrum. on that.
Right.
But for me to sit there and say, well, how are we going to get to work, and how are we going to do this, and how are we going to do that, is pointless because it's not within what he wants to
What
do.
he wants to do, right. I know.
But the other half of, and probably the most difficult part of person-centered is helping people to experience enough of themselves to help them find what they're motivated towards.
Exactly.
And that's probably the most difficult part.
We work on that all the time. Okay. Now, as an individual I've dealt with over the years and stuff like that, want to do certain things, has a certain way of doing things and stuff like that. There are certain things that I have. There's no way they're going to be changed. So I have to work within that. That process that he has and where his thinking is and stuff like that. So for him to be successful, what I got to make sure is that he's not going to get in trouble and he's not going to do anything bad, and that's it. But then I've got to deal with that process to do, the good things that he wants to do and stuff like that. And if you can do it, it's really great and it works out good. And for I have more than one, but this certain individual is very successful, and he got his program and his life and his journey and stuff like that. And so you don't have to deal with the bad stuff. Then you have individuals like you're saying that whether it's motivation, whether it's fear, whether all those conditioning things.
Inexperience.
Inexperience.
They might not have experienced any of that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's your. So in the meantime, you're doing that, and the state's looking at you as we call it, independent living. So you're going to love the way I segue into this.
Go ahead.
Right? Okay. Okay. The state's going to say to you that you don't know what you're talking about. We know what we're going to do, and we say this is the way it is, and you've been working with this guy for 9 years and stuff like that, but you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Oh, and by the way, we're going to change all this stuff, and we're not going to give you and your guy a chance to have a hearing on it. We're going to take that away because we don't want to hear about your suggestions, even though the American Disability Act says that you and your guy have a right to do this. We in the state of Connecticut, DSS, under Governor Malloy, are going to say to you, take it and shove it. We don't want you bothering us. We want, right?
It's more than that.
Yeah, explain what it is. I took all this time to get here.
It's my good friend Ben Barnes too, and you know what? God bless him. I mean, the state's really up the creek when it comes to money, and there's no denying that. And certainly, a lot of the things they've changed around. They've done to try to save money. And you know what? A lot of times we don't take issue with them, like, if there's circumstances, of saving money. The problem that I got is they make these decisions, and then they say, oh, well, we're giving you public input. But what they're doing is they're presenting their ideas.
Yeah, they're telling you
and,
what
and they're
to
telling
do.
you what they're going to
Yeah,
do.
yeah. Public
And
input.
your
You ain't got no
input doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
And then,
Even though the law,
oh yeah,
that the federal law, and every law says you're the one that is supposed to have the input.
I swear it's like we're backwards.
We are.
You think Connecticut's progressive?
Yeah.
No.
No, we're not.
It's not. You think we're leading like the state?
No,
we were when they created this program.
Oh, this was one of
This is the example.
We're talking about the waiver.
The brain injury waiver.
Brain injury
It was
waiver.
actually the model for the state.
For
all the
for all the
states.
states. That's
Everybody
right.
looked
One
at
of the
this.
best.
At this.
Yeah. What's who did? Was a woman and the doctor? Right?
It was Lori DeGalbo.
Yeah.
And she
say that again.
Lori DeGalbo. She
right.
actually
wrote
this.
The stuff, right?
Yeah, and it was a model. It was a model. And I swear, the federal government seems to have grasped this whole part about person-centered. The whole part about
ADA knows what they're talking about. They've been working on that for how many years? Yeah, of course they do.
The whole part about having people's
input all
and,
the way
and being involved in the programs, and every time I turn around, it's like we're dismantling that. Right. Everything that we're going towards, every time, Commissioner Bramby, Dan Malloy, Nancy Wyman, who I've actually tried to talk to about this several times, and we've met up with. And the bureaucracy at Office of Policy and Management, and the bureaucracy at the Department of Social Services. And I say bureaucracy because, you know what, you guys want to run things, and you want to take the power away from the people that we put in and that we vote in. We don't vote you guys in. We don't. We depend upon the judgment of the governor to be the administrative person that takes a look at all this stuff and makes sure that people's lives are protected. But the bureaucracy, we don't vote on you. I didn't vote Ben Barnes in to be head of OPM.
No.
I didn't vote Commissioner Bramby.
To be, no.
I
or
didn't,
his staff.
Or his staff.
Or any of his staff. No, we didn't vote them in.
No, but they want to change things without having a public hearing in front of our senators and representatives who are holding them accountable, because we're holding our representatives and senators accountable. They actually purposefully asked, as part of the governor's bill, to have legislative oversight over these waiver programs pulled.
Yeah.
So they could just do whatever they want in secret.
In secret. Exactly right. In the back room, in secret, with no input from the people that it affects. That is illegal.
Yeah.
And you know what? They got to know that I mean that it's illegal, because, my group, our group, we call you the head of the spear, but we're going to sue you. Danny boy, I hope you're listening, okay? I love Nancy Wyman. I really do. I know that she oversights again. I'm going to come at you, street talk, with a legal case that's going to tie you up like the other one did. See, our group is really nice. They're really not political. Dominic is. Dominic heads the spear, and he knows what he's talking. We do the research and everything else. And while we're dealing with this, you're talking about violating our due process rights. Okay, I got a staff working on it. I got a suit prepared, and as soon as that happens, we're going to hit you with a major suit, and we're going to get out there again and say, Danny, you're not doing the job. You promised to protect us. You, Dan Malloy, promised to protect the brain-injured people. You did it many times as you were doing your pony show all around the state. And we're going to hold you to that, one way or another. And maybe it's the Justice Department, because you've been there before. And you already got the hospital suing you, okay? You think you got problems with money now, okay? All you got to do is get those clowns that are working for you, that weren't elected, to do the right thing and be responsible. They can't do things in the back room. Okay, I'll be nice.
Or be respectful.
Why?
You know what?
They're not respectful.
They're not, and that's the problem.
They're not being respectful of us. We did. I was very respectful. Okay, and our organization has been respectful. We haven't shut his phones down in a while. Okay, we've been very respectful. We've been out there. You have gone out there and talked in a very nice way. You're able to reach across and talk to people, so not like me that get red and get crazy and everything, because our people die.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't no joke. Our people die. If they don't get the right services, and if they don't have the input, and people don't know, our people seriously suffer. Okay? And it's not like I hold Dan Malloy to a higher standard. I hold Dan Malloy to a higher standard. He's disabled. I know all about his disability. I know all about how he went through. Graduate of Boston College. I know all about, there are hardly much I don't know about, and I respected him, and I voted for him, and I've got people, we fought to make sure he got in office, and I expect that he should honor his commitment to us. It's the honorable and right thing to do.
Sad part about it is, a lot of times we're not talking about money.
No.
We're talking about.
We're not talking about money.
You know what?
Most of the time.
Instead of taking a look at it from
the last time you got a
down,
raise.
not for a long time.
Right.
Instead of looking at this from top down and people saying, well, this is what we're going to do, why don't you pull us in? And you know what? I got more experience than the people over at DSS having to deal with this program, because I've been involved with it since the beginning.
Since on-site, right?
And I try to give it to them.
I know.
Do they want to listen?
No, they want to privatize a lot of this. This is what they want to do. They want to privatize it. They want to put it out there so they got golden jobs for their golden parachute. When they retire from the state, okay, their clowns, okay, are going to go and move over to the private enterprise and work for them. That's what's going to happen. Okay, while they collect all the money, okay, on their retirement from us taxpayers, they're going to go over here and make another $100,000 plus a year, okay, for their incompetency that they've shown throughout the whole thing, and they screwed up the program, that they're going to go over here and then come back and try and fix it. How do you like that, huh? That's what it's doing.
It's frustrating.
It is frustrating. It's very frustrating. And okay, we cannot allow them to violate our due process and our clients' due process, and it ain't going to happen. I said from the beginning, we've got a wonderful group. We've got a great group of advocates all around the state. Mm-hmm. Powerful group. Fill that place up and everything else like that. But I always said from the beginning, over that group, we're wasted our time coming in here. We need to file suits against them that will mount up higher than the state building roof and bury Malloy in lawsuits, and then let the Justice Department and our good friend Craig, who is an ABI, Craig Sears,
yep.
Okay, who's an ABI injured individual himself. We put Street Talk posted out his thing, 7,000, 8,000 people aside from, in our group saw his letter to Bremby and his situation and stuff like that. Okay, other advocate groups seen these things. Got to change. I said sue. Everybody's over there want to be reasonable. I think they're going to have another meeting, aren't they?
Well, you know what? Protection and Advocacy has picked this up because recently, we've had a situation where after all this fighting with them, they were supposed to give us, 13 people a year.
Right.
Who live
Slots.
who live in the community, who, if not for their families doing everything they possibly can,
Right.
would be in an institution, who need to have these services, would in order to get these services, and they've sat there and they've thrown everything with the kitchen table at us, because the first one they said, well, you have to have one person coming off your old program in order to have a new one coming on. And we pointed out to them, well, that's not correct.
Right.
Because you know what? We've had people come off of
That's
this program.
exactly right.
Because some of them have passed away and other
And
things
others along the way.
And that's...
Like
and
Auntie Gail.
And one can't be predicated upon
On
the other.
Right.
So
And they were supposed to give us those slots. Bottom line.
So they wouldn't do it on that one. Now they're saying, well, we don't have enough social workers, even though the plans are written, the whole thing's put together. We don't have the social workers to see them out because we didn't get this privatization. So now what they're doing is, and I know this pisses the hell out of DSS, you're holding them hostage. You're saying, if we don't get this, then you're not going to get these 13 slots. And then they took it one step further. Because what they did was they went into a meeting at the Providers Council, and they said to the people of the Providers Council, you got to say something nice about this stuff. Because if we don't get this, then we're going to write to CMS and we're going to ask them to take away those 13 slots. And you want to know why we get pissed off at this stuff and why we're so angry? That you can sit there and try to jerk our chain with this stuff. You know what? You're going to have to deal with lawsuits. You're going to have to deal with other stuff. When all you really had to do was come to the table. You had budgetary concerns. This was easy. I wrote to Ben Barnes. I said, hey, Ben, hey, look, I understand your situation. You know what? 13 people over a year's time, that's one every 30 days. He said, well, that's budgetarily about the way that we figured it out. Well, if you figured it out that way, then why didn't you just do it?
Why aren't you doing it? Okay, why aren't you honoring your commitment to us? Okay? How long has it been? Why aren't you honoring your commitment to us? See, do you understand, Dan, do you understand who's doing this to you? It's your own people in the closet cutting you up, okay, making you look like a dishonorable fool. It's your own people. You can't fire them. Apparently, you can't fire them. You got them up there. Okay, I went into the meeting. The 9 people that were sitting across the table with me, Bremby was sitting right beside me. He was embarrassed. I could tell. This was his staff. He was embarrassed. I would have fired every one of them. They would have got their papers the next day. They couldn't stand up to Dominic alone. The whole staff had to be $1 million worth of money sitting there across the table. Now, we came to the table, we honored your situation, we dealt with you, and we were told we were going to get certain things, and we didn't get them.
Nope.
And then, now you want to take away the hearing so we can't talk publicly about what's going on. That's a violation of my due process. you ain't, nobody's gonna get away with this.
Oh, and the best one, because obviously Ben Barnes didn't want to get into, this whole thing with the people that were up there. So when Commissioner Bremby was up there, they were saying, well, when are you gonna have like public hearings? And he looked over at Kate McAvoy, who runs the Medicaid stuff, and she's like, well, we could have public hearings, right, Kate? She's like, yeah, sure. Like, okay, like anybody's gonna come in and listen to what you have to say. Yeah, we can have the meetings, but it doesn't mean we'll listen to what you have to say. If you don't have the legislature, you don't have people overseeing this stuff and attached to it, nothing's going to get done. And hey, look, you know what? I got to work. I got to go make a case that if I make a case that's good enough for the representatives and the senators to say, whoa, 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 oh my God, these guys are saying something
Right.
seriously important.
Right.
If I'm not making my case, they're going to say, oh, well, yeah, you know what, these guys are wrong. But we're making cases on this situation, so it's not like we're coming in. I spend a lot of time thinking about this stuff,
absolutely.
researching, writing it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's going to be a tough year. I wanted
It
to
already
get out of
has.
this, right?
It already has.
It's going to be a tough year, but if you don't want to be reasonable, you got to know that we're going to come after you. Okay, and it's up on my website. Anybody who wants to look at Street Talk, Dominic's letters up there circulating all over the place. You got it. It's up on Facebook too, right on your page too.
Yep.
And stuff
And
like that. Advocates.
we're actually going to put up another one,
We're gonna,
and we're asking for people to sign on to it. It's a letter that's going out to CMS, and it's talking about the slots and if you can add your name to the list, it's kind of like a petition. We're doing it, as.
That's not the one I posted, is it?
No,
it's
not up there yet.
It's not up there.
Not up
Gee,
there yet.
okay.
Go look at Street Talk soon, but
Yeah,
not
okay,
tonight.
Okay.
But if people can add their names, you don't have to sign it. It's just
that's
you
good.
add your name and what town you live in. So
Good.
that we can send this off to Centers for Medicaid Services, and we can tell the federal government, hey, look, Connecticut's not doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Right.
They wrote this stuff, they made a promise to these people that are sitting out there waiting for services,
2
and have been
years.
waiting 2-3 years for
Two, at least.
service,
Oh, some
for
of them are
services.
oh, yeah, right. Yeah, that's outrageous.
And like I said, you know what? They're holding them hostage right at the moment, and it's, it's stuff that was already, the plans are already written, the money was already accounted for, everything along those lines. Now what they're saying is, well, we're going to hold this up because we didn't get what we wanted back in December, because realistically,
Well, we didn't get that social program?
They didn't get it because they didn't follow the law.
Yeah.
The law said that they had to make a case for this,
Yeah.
which they had to do a cost analysis. And they didn't do the cost analysis. And it was brought to their attention because they transferred another program, which is still having serious issues, the PCA,
The
Personal
CCF
Care
Act.
for people who
Yeah,
are
right.
like, quadriplegic, they don't have use of arms or legs, they need services. They were supposed to do a cost-benefit analysis before they transferred this program. They never did it. So they didn't do their paperwork.
Well, what happened to us when we went in there? So what's the difference? Same thing. It was a 2-year program supposedly developed. We got in there, right? They did nothing.
Yeah.
Whoever put that together. So I mean, I can only imagine. Okay, that you got these people that are hired under your department. Okay, if I was poor Bremby, I'd probably be at the bar, stoned every night. because the people working under him are not putting together the stuff that they're supposed to do. Now, and he works for the governor. So basically, the governor got people up there working, paying them all kinds of money that are totally incompetent. And they can't even follow the programs and write the programs properly and do the things that they need to do.
3 years is how long I've been hearing about privatization.
3 years. I hate the word.
3 years. And in that 3 years, what are we looking for? We're looking to make sure
13 people are taken care of.
well, we're looking for that, but we're looking for the other 500 people.
The 500 people.
That if they were going to do this, that there was a transition plan.
Right.
And if they're going to hire people on in to do this, that they make sure that they don't interfere with the fair hearing process, because people would have to go first to these outside agencies before they deal with DSS, and if it's within a 60-day time limit, you know, and then you're going to stick people into these programs who know nothing about them. And we had this happen in Danbury. They came in there, they took a look at the programs and said, oh, well, you need to change this, so we're going to take this out. You don't know anything about these people. You don't know anything about the program. And you wanted to make changes because you said, oh, we need to cut this money over here. You got no clue what it takes to work with this group of people, and you're making decisions about them?
Scary. Frightening. Can you believe you and I got on here and talked, and took up air time for almost an hour? We're coming to get you. We're coming to get you. We're coming to get you. Dan, watch out. Who do we have next week?
Kathy Osteen.
Ah, my favorite. We got Senator Kathy Osteen next week. She's doing all kinds of stuff if you're reading in the paper. Lady is a tornado. I love Kathy. I really love Kathy.
She's right here in the middle of this whole brain injury stuff.
I was just going to say.
She has a constituent
right,
that she's
right
very concerned about happening
right?
with this.
Yeah. And coming down line.
We were supposed to have Melissa Zabran. She's having to do stuff with Appropriations Committee, so
Right.
She
Tough.
unfortunately can't come. A week after that, we got our good friend James Amon.
Okay, James. Okay.
The Speaker Emeritus.
I love James. Okay. Yeah, Speaker Emeritus. Is that right?
And then we got Paul Formica.
Paul.
Yeah.
Then we got Paul Formica coming on, and yeah, we're busy. We're busy, and I'm sorry for the days I was obviously I was dealing with serious.
One of them was my fault because I couldn't make it back from the Capitol in time.
But you got a little history of you know, a lot of people like to forget that we started 2003 with the homeless shelter and stuff like that. So we had a lot of people on in the breakfast program and stuff like that. It's only a half-hour tape that was run. Okay, I'll see you. Dominic, God bless you. Thank you for being on. People, pray for me. I'll pray for you. And see you next week.